What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video. Today we are going to take a look at Batman Modern Suit from the movie Flash from Hot Toys, and you can order this figure at bigbadtoystore.com. I'll put the link down below. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this Batman because I did have the 89 2.0 and I always felt that that was enough, but I only have one Keaton Batman. I have like 7 Batfleck, so we gotta make it even somehow, right? Like, to a certain degree. I just love Batman, man. I just couldn't say no. If there's any Batman that I would say no, it's probably the, quote-unquote Batfleck from The Flash, because it's not even really Ben Affleck in there. Maybe I'll say no to that. We'll still see. But let's take a look at this. I wanted this because of the head sculpt. I wanted like an old version of Michael Keaton. I don't know, I'm just weak when it comes to that. I wanted him in an old version and in a young version as well. I'm gonna get the Batman Forever as well. Batman Returns, I'm sorry, because it does have the Keaton head sculpt as well. But this, I don't know, man. I like the movie Flash. Don't love it, like it. I thought it, got a lot of hate on the movie because of the actor, because of Ezra Miller. But hey, one of the shining moments there was Michael Keaton. I also have that Flash on pre-order, by the way. I like the suit. I actually like the movie. Michael Keaton in that movie, he was kicking ass, even though he was old. He was moving fast. I know it's CGI, but it was beautiful. And one of the things on this set, and you're going to see it later on, is the implementation of this cape. Not this one. The the cape that has like wires, not wires, even like plastic on it. It is beautiful how they achieve that look right there. So let's take this all out. This base right here, it looks phenomenal. It is light, it's made out of plastic, but when lit up, my goodness, you'll see it later on. But overall, this set, you can see this weapons right here. It looks exactly like 89 Batman. It does have that black thingy right there. I didn't even use it. So let's take a closer look at this accessories. It only comes with a handful of hands. This guy right here, this would hold typically the gun, the grappling gun that he does have. Again, if you have 89 or 89 2.0, DX09, this would all look familiar to you. For the most part, most of the accessories outside of the like the T-Mobile chat pad that we have there, the sidekick, so to speak, it looks awfully familiar. So this, you can hold it, that's the right grappling gun, hand for that. You can also extend it. I don't even remember him using those ninja stars. Maybe he did. It's been a while that I've seen. Honestly, the movie is kind of forgettable at this point. Did like it though. Did enjoy it in the movie. I rewatched it when I reviewed Supergirl, and that wasn't too long ago as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was like a month ago, so it wasn't super long. This is for the remote. This is for his ever famous Batmobile. That Batmobile is one of the most iconic vehicles ever. That, DeLorean, and the Ghostbuster Ecto-1 is on the top of my list if I'm ever gonna get vehicles. I probably won't because I won't have the space for it. But if I had to get any vehicles, that I already had what do you call that? The tumbler. And this is the canister. This is kind of new on his belt. And when opened up, it becomes, I'm sure it's like more than this, but it becomes a sidekick. A phone from the 90s. When did Flash happen anyway? I'm guessing that's somewhere maybe mid 2000s. Is there sidekicking mid 2000s? I don't think so. I think that was like early 2000s or mid 2000s at that point. There's a hand that holds this, and then the ninja stars, we've seen this. You can also use the hand that holds the remote for that. And then this is magnetic. It says level 11. I think this is his hacking device or something like that. And this, it's puzzling to me. This goes into not this guy right here. Because there's no space. It goes on the actual cowl. So the only explanation I have for that is that at some point they were thinking of completing, because they did have, the preview for that, the armors on Batman, Flash, and then they decided to scrap it most likely, but it still has eyes. I guess you could technically pull out the eyes, but they realized that it's not gonna sell. They actually canceled, and I'm kind of upset about that. The young Barry, because I want to see that as well. I most likely wouldn't. Who knows? I probably would buy it. And this is a. You can see this is angle. I'm not a big fan of that because it digs into the suit. I get why they did this, so you could combine the flying Batman to this, but how many people doesn't have a what do you call that? The flight stand anyway. So what happens is you're supposed to put this in underneath the belt, but I don't like the idea that those two prongs are digging it into the suit. Now, it's gonna leave some indentation in there if you leave it for a long period of time. He doesn't even need to be in a flying pose for it to create some damage, because it is kind of tight. So it's pushing in. Now, this is not rubber. The material that they use for the suit, we're gonna take a look at that later, it's more of a Spider-Man suit. But I'm gonna replace this with a normal crotch grabber. Because like I said, I'm not a big fan of that digging into the suit long term. So the key here is for the crotch grabber not to touch Batman at all. So you're going to find a sweet spot that when it topples over, this would just prevent him. Of course, it's not going to prevent an earthquake. But I live in Illinois, which there's really none. But I'm not a big fan of how that was implemented. I get it, but I'm just not a fan. So luckily, I could switch it up. And here he is lit up. It looks beautiful. I already have Supergirl. That one is red. It's not as bright, but this one kind of resembles a bat signal of some sort. So if you have them displayed with this stand, again, the stand is light, but it has that metallic plaque on it, so it looks more premium. This is more yellow, by the way. I don't know how it's coming off the screen. I think it's more white, but in hand, this is yellow, and it is beautiful right now. I turned off all the lights. Hopefully, you could appreciate the brightness of it. So now let's jump into the armor / suit of Batman. This is not as rubber as I thought it would be. It's more of a hybrid of a Spider-Man suit. It's not the Sonar suit, that's for sure. It's not even the 89 suit, which I'm talking about the materials that they used. It's much more forgiving than that. Therefore, you could have more articulation than you thought you could. And this is one of the better articulated Batman outside of course, the Batman, which is Pattinson. That's more fabric. But this, it gives you the impression that it's rubber, but it's not. Which I'm saying that as a good thing here. Because you could actually, like I said, this version of Batman, even though he's older, in the movie, he's pretty agile. He can do some maneuvers, and he's pretty dynamic. So could you recreate some of those? Maybe. If you're brave enough. There's a lot of ratcheted joints in here, but it is more movable than 89 and even Batman Begins. I would say that, especially against Sonar suit Batman, it's a lot better articulated than those Batman. But aesthetic wise, I like the look of it. It gives you that modern sleek look, yet still kind of familiar. if you know what I mean. And the head sculpt, forgive me here, the eyes on the right hand, it's so small, but it's kind of wonky. But you get the idea. He has rolling eyeball system. One of the better, when it comes to older people, Hot Toys always nails it because they're just good when it comes to textures. See that? He's old. Michael Keaton is old in this film. I think he's like 78, something like maybe lower than that. He's old though, but it's not. Initially on the previews, he looks like leather. Like God, so many wrinkles in it. But in hand, it's okay. It's not as prominent. You can see here his hair. I'm glad that they went this route because removing the head sculpt here is not already fun. So just removing the hair piece on the back, you can access the rolling eyeball system from there, which is good. Now you could see the seam line, definitely, especially if you're looking, like right here on the top of his head. But how many of us really takes a picture on this angle right here? Mostly it's straight head up, if not, from the side and all that stuff. But I can live with that. This is more of a convenience for me instead of removing the head sculpt. I'm sure at some point they're gonna do a better job on the on not on this one, but on the neck part, like with Black Adam and all that stuff. But for now, and also you with that seam, you lose the seam on the jawline. So it's a give and take in here. I'd rather have this kind of purse, to be quite honest, than the one where you remove the neck piece. The cape here is not as fun. I'm not going to lie to you. So this is the connector here. Then you slide it out. I get it. You remove the compartment on the back like DX09, but I don't know, like it's just a hassle because you gotta remove that piece. If you gotta remove the mouth plate compared to the DX09 where it's magnetic. By the way, they use the same method here as the 89 2.0, but this is the different mouth plates that he comes with, just to give you an idea. One is open mouth, one is kind of like the smiling one when he said I'm the best. It's pretty iconic at this point. And then one closed mouth. They all look amazing. You can see, the age lines, the wrinkles on the side of the mouth there. They all resemble Michael Keaton to me, even the eyes. So as far as the mask itself, I think they all look good. The mask itself looks great. On the back, you don't. It's seamless. You don't have that window where you have to adjust the eyepiece. But I'm not gonna lie, it's not as convenient as the DX09. A part of me kind of wish it was back because I just hate removing this back and forth. Maybe if it's a better implemented, but right now it's kind of cumbersome. So articulation wise, so let's take a look at the shoulders can move up. So this is velcroed. It's more articulated, like I said. Yeah, definitely more than Sonar Suit or even compared to the 89 2.0. It's ratcheted on the neck. It's some limitations because it's one piece with the neck and the head sculpt. I'm not a big fan of this bib that he comes with. I don't know if that's pleather. It feels like it's gonna flake over time. You can raise his hands all the way up if you want to, like him pointing up. There's magnets in the inner gauntlet. Look at that bend on the elbows. That is pretty tight right there. I like the articulation of this figure. There's some, twist on the waist. This is ratcheted. Hope you can hear it on the legs. Also on his knees, it can bend pretty tight right there, and you can raise it pretty high and it'll hold up. As a Batman suit, that's pretty impressive. There's ratchet 2 clicks as well on the abdomen area, so it is as articulated as you would ask for a Batman. Ankle wise, you get side to side. That's the thread right there. can move it up and down. So, you know, there's a decent amount of articulation here for this Batman himself. Let's jump into the poses. So this is one of the most common ones that you would see, him holding the cowl in his bat cave. I love this look. I arranged the cape as much as I could. I am pretty sure that the drape cape that I had from Lab Toys would fit here. After having that cape, I kind of want a drape cape for Hot Toys. Don't go in between. Don't go between a drape and wired. Either you're going to go drape or you're going to go wired. To be fair, this figure has two capes. And the other one, the one where he raised his arm, you know, where he's flying, beautifully done. And this is the final scene that I have with him, you know, in the desert with Flash and Supergirl. I should have included Supergirl in here. But you can see, he can hold his arm forward pretty nicely there. There's no tugging and pulling. Because if you do this with Batman 89 2.0, it would slowly come down. Like the rubber is trying to fight the ratchet joint on his shoulders. In here, it doesn't. It would stay up. I don't recommend this pose because you're putting stress on the shoulders, on the suit. But if you want to, you could. You know, just saying, that is an option. Now, articulation on the neck, not going to happen there. But this is what I'm talking about. This is beautifully done. You could adjust the wings in your liking. You don't have to have those bars where he needs to hold them, you know, unlike compared to 89 or an 89 2.0. This is where you might want to have that, you know, that waist clamp. And look at the silhouette that it creates from the back. Look at that bat signal right there. That is Batman right there. Could you use this cape for 89? I'm sure you could. I bet you could. Yeah. I mean, this looks great. I should do that, you know, just to experiment on my 89 2.0. But look, this looks pretty darn good. And I think they're going to implement this with Batman Returns as well. So this, like I said, this is articulated. You could lower those wings. I'm almost tempted to, you know, have him have this wings displayed like this because this looks phenomenal. And this is the two. Look at the cape. Look at the drape cape on that 89 2.0. That is just a thing of beauty right there. It just drapes. Look at the difference between the two. Well, I hope he tackles. I hope Lab Toys tackles this modern suit Batman. It has a different texture on it, different sheen, different shine, but it would work, I'm sure. But yeah, you can display. It doesn't hurt to have both of them. I'm just saying, you know, you might you might hate the Flash movie, but it's still Michael Keaton Batman. So just saying, just throwing it out there. But there you go. Final thoughts on this Batman. I love it. It's Michael Keaton, you know. The cape itself, you know, I'm trying to make that kind of like flying in the air, and I have that level 11. This is when they infiltrated the Russian, you know, silos. I think that's what the scene is. And that little cowl with a stand looks pretty good as well. I love that cowl too. Because it reminds me of those like little tiny things from like Bust. I wish they would have gotten one more for the other one, you know, maybe like a bust or something that would help it display because this is how this is how I would display this Batman, because I do have the 89, so with the Michael Keaton head sculpt. So like I said earlier, whatever you feel about the movie, it's up to you. I mean, if you absolutely hate it, don't get this, because it's gonna be a reminder perhaps of that movie to you. But at the same time, this is still Michael Keaton Batman. So it shouldn't be on the top of your priority list because there's a lot of these. But if you're a fan, I do recommend this. As a figure, looks good. Good looking head sculpt. It's not perfect, but it's Keaton Batman, which we don't have a lot. But let me know in the comments down below. Do you already have this? I want to see some posts. I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.